We're arming you with the tools to keep your kids safe. Now we'd like to welcome Donna Kashani, who's a board-certified child and adolescent psychiatrist. Welcome to Primetime.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Primetime.
Thank you.
Okay, so with the kidnapping, the recent findings of these 3 young women and the horrifying things that happened to them, you know, parents more than ever want to protect our children, and we need news we can use, tools to do just that.
Yes. I think the other thing to remember is based on the age of the child, you have to determine how badly you need to scare them about these issues. With younger children, just make sure that you're supervising them, that you're watching over them. With middle school age children, they actually is where the risk starts, because the majority of children that are abducted are between 12 to 17 years old.
Good point. You know, that we never discussed that. I didn't know there was an average age for that.
Yes,
wow.
That's the highest risk group actually, and the most number of kids. More girls than boys are abducted. 75% of abductors are men, but the majority of the time they do know the individual who is taking them.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that. So is that because that's when they start to develop? They're going through puberty? You think they're more attracted to these, the men who abduct them? Because they're usually men, let's be honest.
Yes, it's 75% of the time they're men. But it's usually because they know the child in some capacity. They're a neighbor, they are a relative.
Donna, good point. And that's what I keep stressing. It's not the stranger. It's not the guy that looks like a kidnapper or a creeper. It's the person you don't suspect. For instance, this last kidnapping, Castro, he was at the vigils and he had the daughter captive, but he was at all the vigils and holding up posters. Now,
if you want to hear something scary, so Castro has a daughter named Arlene. Arlene was friends with Gina de Jesus, and they actually allegedly went up to her in Castro's car with his daughter. Then he dropped his daughter off somewhere, then went back with his car and picked her up and took her home and kept her there for 10 years. Exactly. It's mortifying.
Yeah, so as a mother, and I have 4 daughters, I'm like, how do I protect them? Even my older daughters, I'm like, you need to know your surroundings all the time and be ready to, defend yourself, right? And don't, I'm sorry, you want them to be trustworthy, or you want them to be trusting other people and strangers, but you don't want them to get hurt as well.
Well, and the problem is with adolescents, and I've even heard this from wonderful kids from wonderful families, they say, oh, it was so fun, we snuck out and mom and dad didn't know, or they didn't know that I can get by the security system. And those kids are going places which are very scary, unsupervised, and nobody, if they woke up in the middle of the night, would know where that child is. And I know kids get very mad about tracking devices, but the Find My iPhone is one way, because kids are attached to their phones, so the Find My Phone or some kind of a tracking device on cars is not a bad idea either.
And it's not even, it's more than that too, which I think is a good idea, because I look back when I was a teenager, I would tell my mom I was spending the night at someone's house, and my friend would say the same thing, and we would have nowhere to sleep. We'd just walk around, we didn't sleep in someone's garage. And I'm surprised I even made it this far in life. But even when I was littler and my folks let me spend the night, my mother let me spend the night at a friend's house, bad things can happen, right? Whether it's a brother or an uncle,
absolutely.
You just have to. Well, and how do you protect your kids? Like, you don't know that you've got to know the families. You got to know who their friends are, what the environment's going to be like.
Well, 2 things. I say go with your gut instinct, and you can teach that to your children. And then teach your children about good touch, bad touch, and secret touch. Good touch is a pat on the back, a kiss on the cheek, I'm really proud of you hug. Bad touch is a hit or a punch or a push or a shove. And then secret touch is, use the bathing suit example. If your bathing suit covers it and somebody wants to touch you in any of the areas that your bathing suit would cover, that's a secret touch. And secret touches you need to come back and tell me about.
But the word secret, wouldn't that imply that it is a secret that they shouldn't say anything?
Well, that's what the...
Or would you, maybe a private touch that they can't touch?
You can use whatever words you want, but the potential perpetrator will say, this is our secret, you can't tell anyone.
Right, they will do that.
So that's why you tell them that this is the one place that it's safe. And then if children do come back and tell you something, don't go off on them. Sit and listen, have a discussion. Don't shame them into not wanting to come back and talk to you about something later. And also the other thing is, a lot of times kids that are, the majority of the time, they're abducted from a street, with a car, in wooded areas, and somebody else's yards. So less than 5% of the time it's from their own yard or from their own home. So take that into consideration as well. Make sure the people that you're sending your kids off to be a play date with are going to supervise them the way you would.
Yeah, know the mothers and know them well. And there are a lot of parents that will lie to other parents too. They want to be the cool parents, so they'll lie.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember that too growing up, and I like that's the thing. I experienced so much as a teenager. My kids are like, we can't. Shoot, mom knows too much. My oldest daughter, my greatest story is, she's like, you know what, there wasn't a day that I didn't know you loved me, but did you have to love me so much? Because I was totally on top of where she was and, you know, very protective. But
all it takes is one terrible incident,
right.
So it's better to be a little overprotective. And then just, you know, teaching them about the kind of the stranger danger when they're younger, but then not to the point or extent, and this is the fine line, that they become so anxious or worried that they can't talk to anyone.
Isn't that true? Because you want to paralyze them with fear. It's fear this week, and we don't want to cripple our children with fear.
And yet give them tools to keep themselves safe.
Such a fine balance. Thank you for helping us.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you next time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break.